Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Well, a better day for gold. It's sitting at 33.45. I mean, this is such a farce. 3,400, 3,290, 34. Nobody's bought or sold any gold. That's the farce. It's all paper. It's all a joke. What's with all these freaking calls? And I love how my phone says potential spam. So I've been, my foot's bothering me a little today. Don't know why. I haven't been eating much meat, so I'm really like trying to figure out. So I'm eating my avocado and my nuts. I got some popcorn that has Himalayan salt and coconut oil. I said, well, that's real healthy. Maybe that did it. I don't know. Maybe salt, too much salt. I'm definitely having an issue with my feet. I really don't know what to eat anymore. It's like I'm starving. All right, anyway. So gold 33.45, silver 32.77. And yesterday, so I told you there's certain days that just do this and certain days that do that and certain days that chop. So we had Monday, it went all the way up. I think Wednesday it went straight down. Today it's straight up. There was a drop at 10 o'clock from China, which was surprising. But then 33.17, and then basically all the way up, a little drop at 10, which God knows why. And then it comes back and it's 33.45. I don't understand the 10 o'clock drop. That happens 9 days out of 10. You can tell when it's not going to happen is when it goes down first, then it goes up. But today, if you look at the chart, if you see it at 33.38, just before about a quarter to 10, when they do that, it's basically signaling they're going to drop, they're going to short. If it goes the other way, it will go up. I have noticed that trend, but you really don't know until about a quarter to which way the fake derivative goes. So what's the problem with derivatives? As I said yesterday, if you're going to buy eggs and you think they're too expensive and you say, you know what, they're too expensive, I'm not going to buy them, I'll wait till the price drops. And if nobody buys eggs, the price drops because they got to move their eggs. They're there to sell at the grocery store. They can't just sit on the counter for a week and nobody buy them. So if you just don't buy them, they will have to lower their price or buy one, get one free, which is what they seem to be doing. So that's your first take of how the market works. We are the market. We buy or sell the physical goods. When you look at gold and silver, nobody is buying and selling gold, moving the price. This price is moved on derivatives. That's why I show you, I want to say risky business. That's why I show you trading places with Eddie Murphy. And the whole thing, nothing is driven by physical. It's all paper. It's all, well, let's buy or sell gold and then we'll get out. So Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, it starts at 102, goes up to 142 for no reason. But the Duke and Duke thought there'd be a problem, and there'd be a short supply, sort of like the eggs, and that would drive the price up. But it's a fake price anyway. Nobody's buying physical orange juice. Nobody's buying physical gold or silver. And so they wait till it goes up to 142 and they sell it. And for some reason, the price drops, but everybody is buying. Everybody's coming to them buying, buying, buying. Why is the price dropping? But then the price goes back to 102 and they come out with the agriculture report and they say, there's no problem. The supply will not be bothered by the weather. And then they go, hey, David. So then they start, they're not selling anymore. They're now going to buy. And it goes down to about 40 and they're buying. Well, wait a minute. You just sold at 142 and now you're buying at 42 in the same 15-minute interval. What the fuck's the price of the orange juice? This makes no sense. I mean, you either think it's going to go up or down, but what are you doing selling here and now buying, in a 15, 20-minute thing? What is that? That's not real. You're not buying the orange juice. How are we setting prices like this? Hey, Prophet. Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody's buying gold. They're buying the derivative. So we're at 33.47 right now. Nobody's bought an ounce of gold in this. Nobody's sold an ounce of gold. So explain the 10 o'clock drop. It's 9:45 and it's at 33.37. And then at 10 o'clock, it's at 33.23. How did it go down $14? Somebody sold a bunch of gold. Oh, wait. And right at about 10:05, they bought it back. And now it's at 33. Well, wait, why is it 33? And then why was it 3,400 2 days ago? And then it went all the way down to 32.80. Somebody's selling a lot of gold and then buying it back. No, it's all paper. It's all options. It's all derivative. Well, derivatives are like options. An option is I bet the price is going to go up or I bet the price is going to go down, but I don't actually take the physical. I don't actually buy the avocado. I'm just merely telling about the futures, which I have no idea. And so as I talk about eggs, if nobody would buy the eggs, they would have too much supply. There's no demand. You have to lower your price to get to the demand. And this is the problem with gold and silver. Nobody is actually buying on comex physical gold or physical silver. This is all a Ponzi scheme. This is Madoff. So what Madoff did was, I'm not selling anything. You give me money and I pay. Peter gives me money and I pay Paul, and the rest I keep. And this is what happened. It wasn't real. Bitcoin. Nobody can have a Bitcoin because it's not real. Right? There is no Bitcoin. First of all, it's not a coin. Secondly, nobody can even tell me what they look like or hold them. I cannot put them in my safe with my mantle cards. All I can do is hope I have something of value, which I don't have anything. You literally have nothing. You have air. And some idiot's paying $100,000 for air. So how does Bitcoin get a value? Is it different than COMEX? How can it be? Nobody's actually buying or selling a Bitcoin because they don't exist. Gold here, why nobody's actually buying or selling gold? Oh, my mantle card's away, but I mean, if I have my mantle card and I sell it and Bobby buys it for $100,000, that's real. I sold the card and he bought it. He now has the card. That's how the market is. I sell, you buy, I buy, you sell. But you actually get physical of it. You buy a Picasso, you take delivery. You bought the Van Gogh, you take the delivery. So what the hell is going on here with this whole comex Ponzi scheme? Because that's all it is. They're trading options affecting the price without the actual physical. So when these idiots try a short squeeze, I love that one. But let's do a short squeeze. How can you? Because you could go buy 20 tons of silver. Where is that going to show up here? Because comex is not real. There's no physical being bought or sold, and this is the problem. So then, how they're using this to set prices on gold and silver is ridiculous. That's why we must ignore it. Why are we using 33.47 as the price of gold when the real physical price is nowhere near that? That's why I show it up here. We don't really know what the price is, but we know what comex is. But we know comex isn't anything to do with physical. It's just options being bought and sold based on algorithms, based on people looking, okay, oh, it's at 3,400, I'll sell it. Oh, it's at 3,300, I'll buy it. And nowhere is at a real price. And yet everybody's looking at all these coin shops are saying, oh, but the spot price is this, like that's a real price. That's the biggest joke. They think it's the real price. And I laugh when I go in there. That's why I sing and dance on the way out, because we know it's at least up here. There's no way that the real price of gold is where comex is. It's impossible. There's no way that's happened. Because they do short and then they do go long on it. And the put options, the call options are just paper. And they're a lot more paper than there is physical. So if I have 5 Willie Mays cards, but I put in my option 100, I don't have 100 to put in there. So keep that in mind. It's really, I hate when my ginger get a little bit, I don't know what happened to it. I cut it up, I put it in a container and it got fuzzy. So not a good thing. Anyway, so it's just amazing how stupid these people are, believing that that's the real price. You're not selling an ounce of physical on comex. But here comes BRICS. Dubai, China, and Russia will all have, you need a physical bar and somebody's going to buy it. That will be the real price. And that's when we end the American nightmare that we've inherited from all the idiots in the government. Who have built this incredible $37 trillion debt, saying, well, I'll be out of office, so who cares? And, we can't pay it off. We're doomed. Our dollar's not worth anything, which they don't want to tell you. And we're basically fucked. So at least we know the out. As I said in my game, you're looking for the professor, and the way out of the matrix is to own gold and silver, because that won't lose any more money, and that's going to gain money. That's how you're going to win, right? You'll survive the game with the physical gold and silver. But this comex is just a game, just as the stock market is a game. It's not real. Nobody's selling. You're selling shares of a company, and there's It's unrealistic because the price of the share is worth so much more than the actual worth of the company. It's a joke. That's why it's a 25 PE is what you should be. So if the stock's selling it at 10, the price should be if the earnings are $10 a share, the price should be $250 or something like that. I think that's like a 25 PE. Might be a little bit high, but roughly that. So when the PE is like 100, they can't make sales that much. It's an unrealistic thing, but that's part of the Ponzi scheme in stocks. The bank holding money. Now, I don't know. Everybody keeps fighting that this isn't money, that this is debt. This is not debt. This is money, right? This is money, which by definition is I can go to the store, use it to buy things. That's what money is. If it's debt or credit or whatever the hell you want to call it, it's really irrelevant. The fact that the government owes money to the bondholders, that's irrelevant of me having a dollar. Me having a dollar is money I can go out and buy something with. That's the definition of money, right? Medium of exchange. I can use it. I can go to Kroger's, take $100 and get $100 worth of food. There's no debt there. Nobody owes. I don't owe anybody anything. The grocer gets the money and he puts it in his bank. And, but I don't know where they're so worried about the debt. The debt is what we owe other countries, 37 trillion. Yeah, that's a different story. Okay, that's what we owe other people. We're never going to pay it back. That's what you should be concerned with, but not the money itself it's fiat means printed by the government. The bigger problem is money printed by the banks. That's your real inflation. But the value of the money is gone. And you'll hear time and time again how prices are up. I was watching a video yesterday on these restaurants going out, Burger King or whatever. Problems with McDonald's, problems with Wendy's. It was like the whole fast food industry because they got too expensive. And that's not the point. They were cheap food. So you'd go drive through and get it cheap. Well, they're not cheap anymore, and it's not even real food anymore. You go to McDonald's, there's no food you're eating. You get a hamburger and fries, none of it's real. So you have to be careful there that you got to understand the market. So that's why you see like Rite Aid go out of business. They're saying Walmart's in trouble. I don't know. I think they get a lot from China. And this is the problem that Trump's doing with his tariffs. Trump is not understanding there's no substitute. We get most of our shit from China. You put tariffs on China. Okay, now what happens? Well, what should happen is fine, I'll get it from Vietnam. I'll get it from India. They don't have the products that we need to get from those other countries. So only China is our only place that we get them from. Well, then you can't tariff it. You can't make the price so high. And that's the problem. Now you're making the price. It's not really the price is high. China's cost is so high, they don't even produce it. And if they do sell it to us, they want us to help with the tariff. Why are we tariffing them? What is the point of the tariff? It's a tax. So we're gonna tax China because we owe 37 trillion that we fucked up. And they go, we won't sell it to you then. To avoid the tariffs, we'll sell to Vietnam and India and Russia and Saudi Arabia and Brazil. We won't sell to the U.S. We don't want their money anyway. It's not worth anything. So what Trump's done is fucked everybody. And the Scott Brissett, who's a moron, has fucked everybody. because by doing this tariff shit, you've taken the goods away. So they don't want to sell the goods to the US. It's more expensive to make. They can't make money on it. So we can't get the goods, but we can't get them from anywhere else. So, well, we thought China would cave in. China's got 60,000 tons of gold. I don't think they're caving in to anybody. And that's another factor they don't understand. China has 60,000 tons of gold. So not much you can do to that. Russia's probably 25,000 tons. There's approximately, right? India's another 20, and Saudi Arabia another 20, roughly. They got a lot of gold, put it that way. You're not going to intimidate them, and certainly not with this dollar that's worthless. They don't. So they don't want to sell to us because our dollars are basically worthless. Would you? I don't want it. You pay me on for football, I take it and immediately run to the gold store as soon as I get the money and turn it into gold and silver. I don't want to hold dollars. I hold very little dollars. I hold enough for a couple months bills, and that's about it. And then if I need more, if something happens, I can take an ounce of gold and go sell it. But I want to leave enough cash so I don't have to sell my gold, because I don't want to sell it at 33. What are we at? 33.40. I don't want to sell it at 33.40. I want to sell it at 20,040. I don't want to sell my silver at 32. I want to sell my silver at 850 or 1,000. And so they really fucked us with these tariffs, because now that's headed back to Walmart. A lot of their goods come from China, which they won't be able to get. Now, keep in mind, Walmart sells food and TVs and iPhones and, the whole realm, clothes. So next time I go, I'm going to take a look around and see, yeah, they have food, because that probably comes from America. Cupcakes and frozen foods and salad dressings and ketchup probably comes from here. It's going to the electric part. Let's see what they have there. So what is the point of doing the tariff? And you see my title. It's called Free Trade. Free trade is about taking advantage of China. If China wants to make these goods so cheap, we make I don't know, glasses. We make glasses for $200, and China can make them for $100. China wants to make them for $100. Do I give a shit where I buy it from? Absolutely not. Should I care? Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, especially being Stoic, I need glasses. I'll take the cheapest pair. As long as the lenses are good and the frame, as long as everything's okay on them, why pay $200 when I can pay $100? I need that money to buy gold and silver, to go on a trip, to go eat. So it doesn't make any sense for me. So if China wants to be stupid and sell them really cheap, let's take advantage of that. Right? Makes perfect sense. So why do we want to block that? What is Trump doing? What is this percent doing? Well, if they tariff us, we should tariff them. We don't care if we sell in China. That's not the point. The point is we can buy from China. When you go to the store and you go to Kroger's and you buy $500 worth of groceries. Oh, wait, that's a trade imbalance. No, it's not. They've got the money. You've got the food. It's a even trade. And that's the part they don't understand. So when we buy the goods from China, what's China doing? They're getting money. There is no trade imbalance. It's not about us selling goods to China because they sell goods to us. The trade is, and this is free trade. Yes, I think buying glasses for $100 from China versus $200 from the US, it's a good trade for me. Here's the $100. That's the trade. You get the money, I get the glasses. Explain a trade imbalance to me. I'm not supposed to sell $100 worth of stuff to China. That's not what free trade's about. We like certain things they have, and the trade is money for the good or service. That's the trade. That there is no imbalance, but it doesn't mean we should then sell to China. Do we even want to? Do they even have money worth taking it? We're the big kid on the block. It's better for us to buy cheap from China. China gets dollars versus yuan. They benefit that way. It doesn't mean we got to make and sell as many goods to them as they're selling to us. No, they're getting money. That's the trade. We talk about it all the time. What's a fair trade? All right, Bobby, here's, let's do this. So this is just a plate, but let's just say I want $20 for it. That's probably what I paid. Here's $20. Here's a plate. I want $20. You look at it. It's from Switzerland. I like the colors and all that. Yeah, sure. I'll give you $20 for it. That's a fair trade. You're giving me $20. I'm giving you this plate. There's a little hook on the edge so you can see it. So you give me the 20 and I give you that. It's a fair trade. I'd rather have the 20. You'd rather have the plate. That's what a fair trade is. That doesn't mean now you have to sell me something for 20. No. That's not what a fair trade is. That's not what free trade is. That's not what trade's about. I've traded you money for the plate. That's the point. So if they shipped $1 trillion to us, they got $1 trillion back. They got the money back. That's the point. That's how we have balanced trade. We're just trading them money for their goods. It doesn't mean we need to sell goods to them to make it fair. The fair part is we got $5 trillion worth of goods for $1 trillion. That's the point of free trade. There's no tariff on it at all. Do you want to sell us stuff? Canada, you want to sell me Canadian Club? Here's our free trade. Here's our fair trade. Well, free trade, there's no tariff. Okay, I'll buy it for $50. You give me the whiskey, I give you $50. Balanced trade. But our government's so stupid, and this Scott Bassett, who's not an economist, who is guided by George Soros, like George the Animal Steel. We're supposed to sell. I'm supposed to sell you a bottle of Maker's Mark because you sold me a bottle of this. Or why can't I sell Maker's Mark in Canada? That's how stupid this is. There's no such thing as a trade imbalance. Here's my little note on it. Balance of payments. We pay $50 for a good or service, and they get the 50 back in capital. Bottom line, zero. Now, to be more clear, and to show you I'm not a hard-hearted person, here, balance of trade, right on the bottom. Boom, boom, boom. Where is it? It's up a little bit. So you get the 50. 50 in, 50 out, zero. Balance trade. To show you I'm not a hard-hearted man. I don't know why I'm quoting The Godfather, but what the fuck. It never hurts to quote The Godfather. So why is this so difficult for Scott Bassett and Trump to understand this? They're like a bunch of babies. Well, you're tariffing me at 20%, so I'm going to tariff you at 20%. You're fucking up the whole system. We can buy things much cheaper if we buy them from China. Our dollar's worth more. They get the dollar for it. Here's a phone. It's not an iPhone. Right? So here's my phone. 3340. So here's my phone, okay? I paid $125 for it. It's probably Chinese. It's a Samsung. So it sounds Chinese or Japanese. But I paid for it. I get the phone, you get my money. As opposed to an American phone, which is $300. So I benefit because it's cheaper. Let's say this is Chinese, maybe it's Korean or whatever, Oriental. They get the money. That's a fair trade. But when you're doing with sanctions, is you're making this instead of costing me $100, cost $200. What the fuck are you doing? Now you're killing the economy. Now because I have to pay more, because I have to pay $200, that's $100 less that I can spend on food, utilities, clothing, golfing, a lot of other things, because you've just taken 100 out of my pocket with your stupid tariffs. Oh, but I need the money to pay off my $37 trillion debt. Why the fuck would you think tariffs would be the way to pay off your debt? Well, that's what used to happen in the 1700s. We used tariffs. Do you know in the beginning, 1776, 1780, New York would tariff Boston. So if you were selling between New York and Boston, there was a tariff on it. They eliminated that, knowing it was a bad idea. But the reason you want free trade is because let them compete. Let China compete with India. And who's going to sell me the phone for the cheapest? Because the labor's much cheaper there than it is here. True. Alyssa just got a job at Walmart packing orders. She gets $15 an hour. If she was doing that in China, she'd be getting $5 an hour. So you want to take advantage. Let China and India compete and lower the price. And we go to the store and this phone's now $50. That's what we're not seeing. These guys are so fucking stupid. This Scott Bassett trying to force China, and it's got to be fair. It's got to be equal. Excuse me. They're getting our money, you idiots. It is equal. If they sold us $1 trillion in good, we gave them $1 trillion in money. Money's a commodity. Last I looked, soon we'll have to be paying them in gold because they're only going to deal with BRICS is gold-backed currency. Could you imagine them dealing in Bitcoin? It'd be a joke. Yeah, we don't really know what it is. We know we can't see Bitcoin and we can't hold it. So what is it again? What is this Bitcoin? Show me one. We can't. Well, they're going to have gold-backed currency. BRICS, all the countries will have gold-backed currency. And with that, you'll have the little gold-backed, what are they called? Whatchamacallit? Don't think about it. I don't know. I can't think of it. Something with an S. Anyway, they'll have that. They'll have gold-backed dollars. They'll have something that you can touch and feel and see. Now there'll be transactions that are done electronically. Like if they buy a shitload of oil, China from Russia, they'll pay with gold-backed currency but it will be just transmitted. Sort of like us doing a wire. So if I were to wire Profit because he's in Canada and I'm in America, he needs $500 and I wire him $500. And his bank account turns up $500. That's what they're going to do. But for every day, you can get money. You can get this. And to call it digital and well, show me what it looks like, and you can't. That's a Ponzi scheme. And they don't want to hear it because it's worth 100,000 or who knows what it's worth today. And that's who gives a fuck? It was up $5,000 yesterday or something. It was like 101, and I'm just laughing, going, it's not worth anything. And again, it's in dollars. At least gold doesn't need to be valued in dollars. What is Bitcoin going to be valued in? The dollar goes to zero. What's the price of Bitcoin? Zero. Because it can't hold its own price because it's not real. A Mano card will go to zero also, but it's real. So it gets repriced in gold. So does your house. So does your car. Things that are real get translated into what's it worth in gold. In other words, so if I'm at the Camry and they're $35,000 for a Camry, I pay him $35,000. When the dollar goes out, he still has the Camry to sell. He's now going to sell it in gold, and that'll probably cost me $5,000 in gold, which will be probably less than an ounce. So once the ounce hits 10 grand, and then the car gets revalued in gold, I can probably buy the car with 1 ounce, probably a half ounce of gold. It still has a value because it's real. What's Bitcoin? I don't want it. It you can't even see it, but that's the point. So free trade is about we're trading money for goods. Therefore, there can never be a trade imbalance because we're trading dollars for goods. Now, Trump might want to, hey, we bought $1 trillion from you. We want to sell you $1 trillion. Do we want yuan? No. We want gold, actually. But we don't make anything that they're going to buy. And as cheap as their goods are, we can't compete with it, which again's over Bissett's head and over Trump's head. What are we going to make that they're going to buy? What? Okay, we make golf clubs. They make them cheaper. So the golf clubs we make there, I know Mizuno's Japanese, but let's pretend they're Chinese. Well, let's lose Japanese. So we buy Mizuno's golf clubs. It costs us $1,000 here, and they're real nice clubs. So in Japan, let's say they sell them there for $1,000 or $700. Well, if we make them here, we're going to sell them there for $1,500. I'm a Japanese citizen. I like golf. I like Mizuno. I can either buy the Japanese brand for $750 or buy the American brand for $1,500. What am I going to buy? I'm going to buy the $750 brand. There's nothing we can make that they're going to buy in the first place anyway. Go to Germany. They're not. I'm buying Mercedes. I'm buying BMW, Audi. I am not buying GM and Ford. That's the point of it. You're never going to be able to sell there because your labor costs are more expensive than anywhere else in the world. Maybe Germany, but you can't touch the Mercedes and you can't touch the BMW with GM and Ford. They're not even in the same class. So how do you think you're going to sell in these other countries? You can't. Oh, we're going to sell what? Facebook, which isn't even a product. We can sell Microsoft. Now they got computers there. What do we make? Intel chips? No, they're in Amsterdam now. That's where the big chip makers are, in Taiwan. So explain to me what it is. Oh, it's Larry Fink selling mutual funds, and that's all we do now is banking and that. We don't sell a product. So at what point are you thinking, let's bring manufacturing jobs back home? What are you smoking, Trump? Are you fucking serious? Even if we did, we couldn't compete with China and India and the rest of these countries with their cheap labor. That's why Ford and GM moved all their shit to China in the first place. Our labor is $60 an hour in union, and theirs is $10 an hour. They can make the cars much cheaper. That's why they did it. And we cannot compete with that because in a free market, it's price, 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 and you can't touch their price. So, what the fuck are we doing now? We're doing tariffs on items that you have no chance of competing. Well, they're charging us a 10% tariff. It doesn't matter. Nobody in Europe is going to buy our. What do we even sell? We don't sell anything. Oh, Larry Fink's going to go over and talk to the Saudi Arabia guy and take his money and put him in stocks. This is what Larry Fink's idea is. And people have the wrong idea about Larry Fink. He is a loser and a criminal, but he doesn't. He manages $1 trillion. He doesn't have $1 trillion. So if Bobby gives me $100,000 to invest for him, which I would put in gold, I don't have the 100,000. I'm managing Bobby's 100,000. So I don't really have the money. I don't know why people think Larry Fink's got the money. He doesn't. He's just managing it. And I'd say poorly if he doesn't have them in gold, which he doesn't. So you got to keep in mind this whole free trade thing is bullshit. The trade is money for glasses or money for clothes or money. Well, we get our own gold, but it's money for clothes or a car or a house, wood, whatever it is. We're getting wood from Canada. We're giving them money for it. If we could make it cheaper, we would, but we can't. We have no industries. To bring them back to America is a huge mistake because our labor cannot compete with other countries. And by raising tariffs to get competitive, well, let's see, China charges $100 for glasses. We charge $300. Let's tariff them to $200. So now it's $300 to $300. And who does it fuck? It fucks us. It fucks the consumer because plus nobody's going to buy, at the end of the day, I don't know that I'd buy US if it's even. Out of spite, I'd probably buy China, but China's going to sell me goods cheaper. So I do advise you maybe to get a computer. Although no, I think the computers and phones won't be tariffed. And the food, I believe, will be coming from the U.S. really won't be tariffed because we'll just get it from California, Florida, whoever's got the farmland, and that's what we'll use. So I don't think there'll be a problem there. But anything that a Walmart gets from a China, they're not going to get it. It's either that or that it's going to be very expensive because the U.S. can't compete with them. So it's really, you want free trade because of the competition. Let China, Japan, and India compete to get our business. That's called free trade. That's how you win. That's how we've been winning. Now we're losers. We got idiots in charge who want to tariff us because we want to sell $1 trillion to China, which couldn't happen in a million years because we don't have goods and services that are competitive in China. And in China, they're laying everybody off. You don't have consumers in China to sell it to. Okay, we'll go sell a Ford in China. Yeah, it'll never sell because the price will be 35,000, and in China I can get a Chinese car for 15,000 because the government subsidizes because they have gold. So this is where the laws of competition come in, and consumer laws and capitalism. Basically, you're choosing. We go all the way back to Adam Smith, right? And you go to the baker for the donut. The other baker sees it and he puts up a bakery and he starts selling his cupcakes, and you have a little price war. 50 cents, he's 49 cents. Who benefits? Us. As long as the other baker tastes as good as the first baker, that's where quality comes in. It doesn't taste good. So as long as everything tastes good and you're just a little cheaper, do you give a shit where you buy it from? I mean, unless it's like your sister selling at the first one. As just a average guy, you go, oh, he's cheaper, I'm going there. Okay, so all the way back to Adam Smith, that's what competition does, and we're the market. What do? We buy the cheapest because it's money that we keep in our own pocket because we don't get handouts. So basically, that's what free trade's supposed to give you. supposed to give you competition among countries to sell us, and they're going to bring the price down and the quality up. I remember DVD player. I had a VCR. It cost me $900 because I bought it in the late 70s because I had to work at the grocery store on Saturdays and I'd miss the football game. So I bought it. And then through competition, all of a sudden Japan was selling the littler DVDs or VCRs, and they went down in price to like 400 to 300. And so that's what you want. The competition brings the price down because Japan or China could make them, probably Japan could make it cheaper than we're making it here, which is fine. Who benefited? Well, I did because I could buy another one for $200 instead of $900 again. That's what competition does. That's why you want free trade. You want whoever can make it. And then they got to look at the price, and they come in and they beat the price. That's exactly why you have free trade. What the fuck are these guys doing with tariffs? All it is it's going to cost us more because it's going to cost the country more because they have to pay this idiot tariff because our Treasury Secretary and our president are too fucking stupid to realize the trade is fair. We are giving them dollars for the goods. That's the trade. The dollar for the goods, not more goods for their goods. It's not goods for goods. It's dollars for goods. So we give them $1 trillion, which benefits them, and we get $1 trillion worth of goods. That's free trade. That's the part he can't see is we're trading them dollars for their goods. Totally goes over their heads. They don't get it. Well, they tariff us. Hey, it's not about who tariffs who. Where are they thinking? Have you ever heard of trade balance before? We know we've heard of free trade because I talk about it 10 times a week. That's the idea of free trade. It keeps the cost down and the benefit goes to us. And that's what we want. That's Austrian economics. Benefit the consumer through competition. Free market. So we look at gold and silver, there is no competition to do it. And when you have COMEX doing this crap where they're not even pricing it fairly because there's no market for it. There's nobody buying and selling physical gold. What the fuck is this? Well, we're just selling options. Well, that's no way to price anything. Name me one time pricing an option gave you a fair price. I'll give you a year because you can't. And what kills me about trading places, if you notice, it started at $102 for the orange juice. Then it goes to 140 and then it goes to 26. Well, what's the real price? 102, 142, or 26? Is 26 the real price? No. So when you're trying to do short squeezes, silver squeezes, gold squeezes, and you think if everybody buys some, that'll put a squeeze on it, you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's when I come in and say, you're a fucking idiot. Get off YouTube because you don't know what you're doing. Because it's not priced like eggs. I go into the grocery store. If I were to buy 100 dozen of eggs and it sells out, they could raise the price. But if nobody buys and it just sits there, they have to lower the price because the grocery store has already paid the egg guy for the eggs. And now he's marked it up to whatever. And now he's selling it. And if he can't sell it, I saw something, the dark chocolate, it's now, it used to be like $2.99 for Lindt and Chivaldi. And then it went up to like $3.50. And I go to Walmart and buy the Swiss. Then now it's up to $4.75 because there's a shortage of cocoa, maybe, if we believe that. And of course, nobody's buying it. So now it's not buy one, get one at half off, which is what it used to be when it was $3. Now it's buy two, get one free, which basically I did the math, figures out to $3.25 a bar because it's going to cost you $4.75 twice is $9.50, and you get 3 bars. Divided by 3, it's 3.25 each. Okay, so Why don't you just sell them for 3.25? Well, because we want to sell 3 bars because we can't move our inventory. They're fucked because they paid more for the candy bars instead of saying, fuck off, I'm not paying for them. You're stuck with them. They're all going to melt. You got to lower your price. But they don't. I don't know what the grocery store is thinking. So instead of doing something else, they pay this price. And it was a similar price at Walmart as it was at Meijer. And it's a lot more at Bush's where I get my meat. And that's the problem. So they want to sell it. So it's buy 2, get 1 free. And it's 3.25 a bar, which is still much higher than the $2.50 I'm paying. But at least it's okay. Now, I do buy 3 bars at a time, but I eat it over the week, right? And so that's a food. Like I won't buy 3 bottles of caffeine-free Pepsi or Diet Pepsi or Squirt, or if I do buy pop or my half and half, I couldn't buy 3. It wouldn't last. I could buy 3 yogurt or avocados or oranges or apples or broccoli. That I could do. Even when they have the red and yellow peppers, sometimes there's 7 for $7. I can't buy 7. I can't eat. I'd have to eat them like 3 times. I'd have to put them in my omelet, put them in my salad, which I do, but I do it at my leisure. And this is the problem with it. So I just don't see, by not buying it, you can see the price cut, right? So the price cut's a little unseen. You still think it's $4.75, but really, if you buy 3 of them, it's 3.25, and then that's not too bad for them. But I'm not paying $4.75 for them. That'll never happen because the market for them is about $2.50, and now you're at $4.75. Oops, I don't have any buyers. Yeah, because we're down here at $2.50, $2.75. Now the question is, will we go up? Well, the benefits are very strong. The cocoa is very healthy for us. Maybe we can, but we'll buy instead of 4 for the week, we'll buy 2 for the week and just have 1 square a day instead of 3 squares a day. I mean, you make adjustments, but going to Walmart and finding it for $2.50, as I showed you that the video the other day, then fuck off. I'll go buy it there. But in the free trade problem with these tariffs, since you're taking China out of the way, there's no competition. I can't go to India and buy what I'm buying from China because China is the only one that sells this, which is hard to believe. They have a monopoly and yet they're still so cheap. But this is China's it. Well, I guess there's competition within China. And this is the problem, right? So if China's the only one that can sell me a pen, and you tariff them, and then the pen gets too expensive, I don't buy the pen. What are you doing with tariffs? So this is a huge mistake. This is why you get depressions, because people can't afford it, and you fuck the market up. Just like FDR fucked the whole market up with all his government spending and getting out of gold and printing money, and let's do government projects where there's no revenue. You kill the economy. You've got to have business that makes revenue, and they pay taxes, and then they hire people. Building a road it doesn't produce revenue. So you in an economy, you have to have businesses that produce revenue, right? If you don't, I keep getting all these spam phone calls. 33.38 right now in gold. Took a big move up. I think we'll end about between 33.25 and 33.50 today. Again, at 5:30 the market's closed, or 5:15, and China picks it up on Sunday. I think there's Victory Day in Russia today. I think it's maybe it's World War II victory. I think it ended about now. So Russia's celebrating winning and beating Hitler. So where's our victory? So Anyway, any other questions on that? Even I enjoyed that because it really made sense. I was trying to figure out the trade imbalance, and now I've got it figured out. One quick thing on the Federal Reserve as I stumble on this page. Central bank has the monopoly on printing money, the only one. Why in God's name would you give out a monopoly on printing money? A lot of inflation, a lot of recession, a lot of depression. From 1830 to 1861, it was free banking. All banks printed money, promised to pay with gold. Amazing how that worked. Very little inflation. From 1862 to 1913, national banking system. Suspend gold operations. Only national banks can print money backed by gold or government bonds. From 1913, the president, the Federal Reserve, the only Fed can print the money, and it's a monopoly, which leads to a lot of inflation. So amazing. Without the Fed, the banks competed with themselves so printing money. So if one bank inflated, you would go to the other bank. Amazing how that worked. No, but we got central bank, and not only us, every country in the world has a central bank. They're all fucked. They're all going to have heavy inflation, which is where we're at now, which is why we're in gold. Every country's gone. All right. Let's cheer up and talk some sports. But if you have questions or comments on that, please feel free. All right. Yesterday, we first play. Let's go through it. Boston beat Texas 5-0. We had the over in the game. We lost. Kansas City and Chicago. We had Kansas City under 8.5 for 2 units. Bubik with a 1.69 ERA came through, but KC scored 10 runs. They fucked it up. When you're playing these really weak teams like Colorado and Chicago, I think it's better if you have a good pitcher just to play the team as opposed to the total. Detroit, we played a double on them. We played Detroit 2 units. We played over 10 2 units, and they win 10-2. In the last game, I played it over, and they win 11-1 over 11. Two terrible pitchers there. Colorado's really has no hitting. Even at home, they're not hitting, and their pitching's terrible. I was watching a little at the gym. They couldn't hit the ball at all. I mean, they were just terrible. Have Philadelphia over Tampa. They win 7-6 in 10 innings. When in doubt, take Philly. I have Atlanta under 8, and they go to overtime. I would have won. It was 4-3. They tied it at 4, so there had to be a winner. Atlanta wins 5-4, so it blew the under for us. Toronto, California. I have Toronto. Toronto wins 8-4. California's just so bad. And LA, I played against Arizona. Arizona wins 5-3. That's a loser. Fat 6-2 with a 3.28. Yashima Yamamoto, or Mr. Fuji, as he's called in English, 4-3 with the 1.80, gives up 5 runs. This is the problem I have with these new pitchers who aren't very good, have a low ERA, but they give up 5 runs. Well, I don't know that he gave up. Let's go to the box score. Did he give up all 5 runs? Kind of looks, well, he gave up 4 runs in the 4th on a grand slam, so I kind of think he did give up. So this guy with the 1 ERA, yeah, he gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned. And his ERA is 1.80. Yeah, sure it is. Pitchers with 1.80 ERAs do not give up grand slams. So again, this is where you're deceived. The Fat with the 3.28 ERA, and I'm surprised I didn't play this game under. I thought I did it first, but I played the Dodgers, so big mistake there. All right, let's look at today's games. 5-9. No, we got late games today. First game's at 6:40. We actually have time, boys. Um, Atlanta, Pittsburgh. Atlanta minus 145 and 9. Bryce Elder 2-1 with the 506 against Bailey Falter 1-3 with the 506. We know Pitt does not hit. Let's look at Atlanta. Atlanta's got 5 hitters and 1 bad hitter, so they got a bunch of like 240, 250 hitters. And they're playing Pitt, who's got 3 hitters. So there could be a little runs. Yeah, and we got 2 terrible pitchers. I'm just going to play Atlanta. When I try to play this kind of game over because of the pitching, they end up not hitting. So even a guy with a 5 ERA can you can get 1 run on or shut you out. It's unlikely, but again, it's an average. So Atlanta's hot. Let's stick with Atlanta. Texas at Detroit. Detroit minus 275, 7.5 against Texas. This is a very high thing. It's Patrick Corbin, 2-1 with the 3.28 against Skubal, 3-2 with the 2.21. Texas has been not hitting very well. They had 5 hitters, but I looked at their lineup yesterday. It was like 3 hitters. You got to ignore the Colorado because they're not even a major league team. That's like playing Eastern Illinois in college football. You just, you can't look at the score. So you got to throw that out. So Detroit at 275, I think that's extremely high against the pretty good Texas team. I'm going to go under 7.5 here. I think Detroit will have trouble scoring against a real pitcher with a 3.28 ERA, and Texas is not hitting very well, so Skubal should pitch pretty well. But I can't say that with Patrick Corbin, a 3.28 ERA, Detroit's worth 275. That's bullshit. That's where my INFJ comes in. My intuition says the odds on Texas winning are probably 50-50, not 275 means they have no chance. They got too good of a hitting team, and this pitcher doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to go under. There's no way I would take Detroit at 275. All right, the Cardinals and the Redskins. Good football game. St. Louis minus 105, 8.5. Eric Fetty, 2-3 with the 4.78 against Mitchell Parker, 3-2 with the 3.48. St. Louis, 5 hitters, and Washington, 4 hitters. So I'm noticing teams are starting to get some of the hitting going a little bit better. Washington, I'm going to go over 8.5 here. I'm leaning towards Washington to win, but 8.5. Neither pitcher's really that good, so we should get some runs. Milwaukee, Tampa. Milwaukee minus 115 and 9. We got Jose Quintana, 4-1 with the 2.83. Zach Littell, 2-5 with the 4.61. Milwaukee's much the better team here. I like Milwaukee. And you're only laying 115. So this is a good pitcher. They're hitting well. We'll see. The Cubs and the Mets. This is a really good game. They both have been playing. The Mets with 24 wins, the Cubs with 22. The Mets minus 155, 7.5. The game is in New York. James Talion, 2-1 with the 3.86 against Clay Holmes, 4-1 with the 2.95. Interesting. Very good pitching, but what we have here is the Cubs have 7 hitters and the Mets have 6. So we're looking at 2 very good hitting teams in New York, so we don't get the Wrigley wind blowing in. Over under a 7.5. Italian with the 3.86. Clay Holmes 2.95, 4-1. You can't pick a team here because they both can hit very well. And I'm not, Italian with the 3.86 is not bad. Clay Holmes 2.95. Okay. Slight edge to the Mets, but I think this is Um, it's hard because it's hard to go over on a pitcher with a 2.95, but you have to figure that out. I think we'll go over 7.5. Let's go NYM over 7.5. The Phillies that go to Cleveland. Phillies minus 125 and 8. Aaron Nola finally got a win. He was 0-5, finally gets a win. 1-5 with a 4.61. Gavin Williams 2-2 with the 5.06. I know Philly hits the shit out of the ball. Cleveland's got 3 hitters. Philly should win with Nola, but let's go over 8. Philly over 8. Now let's make this our first bet of the day. 2 units. Boston goes to Kansas City. Kansas City lit up the White Sox yesterday 12-0. Boston starting to play better. Boston minus 120 and 9 at Kansas City. Hunter Dobbins 2-1 with the 3.78 goes against Michael Lorenzen 3-3 with the 4.23. Interesting. I would never have put Boston as the favorite. Boston does have 6 hitters now. KC with 3. So Boston's starting to hit, but it's not in Boston. I think you got KC as a live dog here. 4.23. The pitching's not too bad. The over-under of 9's a little bit high. This is a game I just don't like. That I'd say we got to go over here. Let's go Boston over 9. It's a really difficult one, and I wouldn't bet it. Miami goes to the White Sox. The White Sox are not the worst team in the league, but they're close. Miami's minus 158.5. Wow. Max Mayer, 2-3 with the 3.92. Goes against Bryce Wilson, 0-1 with the 5.56. Now, the problem is we could go over, but the White Sox, will they score? 2-3 with the 3.92. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. So let's go Miami over 8.5, and we'll make this 2 units. The White Sox are shit. All right, they got a whopping 2 hitters. They got 6 hitters. Of the 6, 4 of them are hitting in the 150s, 160 range. And all you do is go, well, what are they doing in Major League Baseball? These are not Major League hitters. And I don't like the whole thing of, well, they're here to hit home runs and not average. That's bullshit. I don't need a guy going 1 for 12 in a series with a solo homer when they're down 10-0. I need a 300 hitter. So I don't know what they're doing. Too much of this bullshit analytics. Really hate it. So I got to go over. They should hit this Bryce Willis with 5.56 ERA, but we'll see. Cincinnati and Houston. Houston minus 197.5. Nick Martinez 1-3 with the 4.19 against Hunter Brown. 5-1 with a 1.67 at Houston. We'll make this our big play. Houston, we'll go 3 units on it. Hunter Brown 5-1 with a 1.6, but he's going against the 4.19 Nick Martinez. So love Houston there. The 49ers and the Vikings. This was a playoff game twice for Montana. They lost the first one, and then they beat them the second game. Frisco minus 110 and 9. Jordan Hicks 1-3 with the 6.03. Chris Paddock 0-3 with the 5.57. 2 bad pitchers. Do we have hitting? Minnesota, 5 hitters now. The 49ers have 3 hitters. 49ers got, I guess, injuries. They're just there's 4 or 5 guys that can't hit on them. Both bad pitchers. So we're gonna have to go over on the game. 49ers over 9. I can't bet on a pitcher with a 5.57 ERA because what are you going to get out of it? He could give up 10 runs. Even though the Niners don't hit well, he could walk and there could be errors, and the hitters on 49ers can hit. The Vikings, they can hit pretty well, but they should hit Hicks, the 6.03 guy. How long is the guy going to play? So figure he pitches 4 innings and he gives up 4 runs, right? And that's 4. The other guy does the same, and you need 9. So how strong? Not everybody in the bullpen has a 1.0 and shuts you out. All right. San Diego, Colorado. San Diego minus 170, 11.5. Randy Vasquez, 1-3 with the 3.90. Goes against Antonio Senzatella for Colorado. Colorado clearly they look, because at the gym I get a chance to watch it because they're on FanDuel. How stupid is this? You're on a gambling network, right? And they're flashing betting odds. Oh, this, total runs in the game, live, are you kidding me? And you want to think these games aren't fixed? Oh my God. Um, so San Diego's minus 170, 11.5. But you got to be careful because Colorado's not hitting. So Colorado's not going to give you 6-7 runs at Colorado. They're giving you nothing. The Tigers beat them 10-2 and 11-1 or something. They didn't score against the Tigers, and one of the Tigers pitchers was terrible. So San Diego, Colorado. Vasquez 1-3 with the 390s. Senzatella 1-5 with the 5. I can't go over 11.5. I just got to go San Diego, and I think we're just going to pound against Colorado now. I mean, they're just so bad. San Diego's got some good hitting, and we'll see. Baltimore and California. At California, Baltimore minus 145, 9.5 seems a stretch. Tommy Sugar, 3-2 with the 3 ERA. Kyle Hendricks, who pitched a beautiful game against the Tigers last time, 1-3 with the 5.28. So let's go California again and see if Hendricks is there. Baltimore can't hit, neither can California. These are two pretty shitty teams. The Dodgers go to Arizona. Arizona won yesterday. Be careful. The Dodgers ain't that good. They got good hitting. Freeman's back in the lineup, Freddie Freeman. So look out. They got 6 or 7 big hitters. Arizona minus 125 and 10. Rocco Suzuki, 1-1 with the 3.86 for the Dodgers, which I doubt is that good. And Edward Rodriguez, 1-3 with the 5.92. So this is an easy over. We'll go LA over 10. LA, the whole lineup hits. I think they have one guy that's hitting like 230. It's funny how they don't have any 147 hitters throughout their lineup. And the best is the manager. He'll put like the 4 hitter, then he puts a 130 hitter after the 4 hitter, no protection. And then you get to the bottom of the line. He's got like 4 hitters. So his leadoff hitter is like hitting 280. Then he has his 9th hitter hitting 280. Why is your 9th hitter hitting 280? Why is the 280 hitter batting 9th? And then I saw box score yesterday, and the guy, 4 at bats, and then the last 3 only got 3. And of that, one was a 280 hitter. No, retardo. You want the 280 hitter to get 4 at bats, not 3. It is not about putting the 280 hitters together. If you want to do that, bat him second and let him get 4 at bats, and then you got the 280 hitter first and the 280 hitter second. You do not want them to, he's coming up 9th, so we'll have a 280 hitter with the leadoff hitter hitting 280. I mean, these managers are so stupid. They should go work for the government. This is how stupid they are. No, your first hitters, if you want back-to-back, your first hitter's 280, your second hitter's 280. The other guy that's hitting 199 bats 9th. Fucking idiots. And maybe why is the guy who's hitting 190 even on the team? All right, Toronto goes to Seattle. Seattle 145 and 7. Seattle's got 3 hitters now. They used to have 1. And they got 2 hitters that are in between. So Seattle's getting better. 145 and 7. Kevin Gausman, 2-3 with the 3.83 against Luis Castillo, 3-2 with the 3.29. Pretty good matchup. Toronto with 5 hitters. So Toronto's starting to hit a little bit more. Seattle, decent. Seattle's 145. Pitching's pretty even. I think we got to go over 7 here. Seattle over 7. I don't trust just taking Seattle here. And our last game is New York at Oakland. Oakland's 20-18. The Yankees 21-16. Again, Judge is hitting over 400, and it's like we're into 150 at bat, so it's not like a fluke. And Goldsmith is hitting like 370, and again, it's not 10 at bats. The Yankees minus 150, 10.5, and I got to take cause here. Oakland's not that bad. Will Warren 1-2 with the 5.65 going against Oswald Cobblepot of Oakland 2-2 with the 4.71. And I looked at Oswald before, and I said, "Well, is he any good?" And his problem is he goes 5 innings, and most of his outings he's giving up 1 or 2 runs. He's had I think one bad game he gave up like 6 or something in 4 innings. Again, the deceiving factor is that the guy might give up 2 or 3 runs, but it's only in 4 or 5 innings. So they're making, oh, it's a good outing. He gave up 3 earned runs. Nah, he pitched 5 innings. That's not good. So as I said, this is all smoke and mirrors. This whole like OPS is how many, what is it, extra base hits out of your hits? Well, that the guy could hit 200, but he gets a lot of home runs. Doesn't make him a good hitter. So here, Oakland can hit pretty well. They got 5 hitters, 10.5. Yeah, let's go over. Let's go Oakland over 10.5. I'm not going to bet it. I think Oakland's a very live dog here. The Yankees minus 150s just because they're the Yankees. And then 10.5, they can hit. Oakland's hitting, and you got 2 weak pitchers. So let's go over. All right, so let's go through this. We got Atlanta. We got Detroit under 7.5. We got Washington over 8.5. Milwaukee, the Mets over 7.5. Philadelphia over 8. Boston over 9. Miami over 8.5. Houston, San Francisco over 9. San Diego, California. The Dodgers over 10. Seattle over 7. And Oakland over 10.5. The bets. Philadelphia over 8, Miami over 8.5, Houston a 3 unit, and San Diego a 2 unit. Not a lot of bets, but you can always find 4. And and all these are night games. Let's go to basketball. I had a great night last night. Minnesota killed them, and as Prophet said that their guy was out. Whatchamacallit, oh, come on. What's his name? I can't believe I'm having a brain freeze on our guy, on our superstar. Steph Curry. How could I forget Steph Curry? Thank you, Prophet. So one game, Minnesota back. They lost. They were down 1-0. Steph Curry's out, and they're laying 10, and they win by 24. That was the easiest pick I've had in a long time because Minnesota had to win. They're down 1-0, but without Steph Curry, they're fucked. So we got to watch when Steph Curry's back. And that'll be, I would assume tomorrow will be game 3. And then when you go to Golden State, but the series is tied at 1. Minnesota's got a good defense, so be careful there. So no Steph Curry. We're jumping on Minnesota again. Steph Curry, it really should be, it's Golden State's turn to answer, but we'll see. So that was a lock, and that hit. And I'll tell you, this theory really works well in basketball. In playoff formats. It wouldn't work as well as in baseball. Baseball is all dependent on who's pitching. If it's Verlander, we're betting him. If it's Joe Smith, we're not, even though they need the game. Cleveland at Indiana. Indiana is up 2-0. Cleveland is minus 5.5 and 230.5. They have 3 guys injured. Now, somebody's got to help me out. Are these starters, or who the hell are these guys? Where did my thing go? Oh, here it is. Okay, so Evan Mobley. This is so stupid. It says position, and then it says status and date, but it doesn't say if he's playing. So, like Evan Mobley is a power forward. His status is an ankle. Well, that's not status. That's the injury. Is he playing or not? Is he questionable? Is he doubtful? Is he important to the team? DeAndre Hunter is a strong forward. Thumb. Darius Garland is a point guard. Toe. Are these guys starters or off the bench? Are they playing or not? And then Indy's got Isaiah Jackson with a calf from 11-1, so he's not important. So the question is, these three guys injured? Darius Garland's probably nobody because he got injured 425. So it's Mobley and Hunter got hurt 5-5. Is it serious or are they back? An ankle and a thumb. The ankle probably should be playing. The thumb, I'm not sure. Are they important to the team? This I'm not aware. So in Cleveland is in a must-win game. Cleveland has to win this game. They are down 2-0. They lose, the series is over. They're the one fucking seed. Indiana's been playing well. Indiana's been down 20 points twice in this series and come back to win. Sort of like the Knicks. What do you do about this? Well, this is confusing why Cleveland's a 5.5 point favorite down 2-0 with these two guys injured. So it leads me to believe they're probably playing because when Steph Curry was out yesterday, the lines, which should have been, I think it was 5 the first game, was 10 yesterday. So I'm going to bet Cleveland, not large, but small. But they can't, if they go down 3-0, you don't win a series, right? You might, then you got Indy, and then you're probably going to get swept. But this is the best game. Cleveland's going to play their best game. It's at Indy, and I don't like laying 5.5. So it's a very small Cleveland bet because they have to win it. But like yesterday's Minnesota game was a lock, and the day before the Oklahoma City Denver game was a lock. This game's not a lock. This game's a small Cleveland. Indy's not going to just lay down at home. The role players will play better. I'm almost tempted to take Indy plus the 5.5, except for Cleveland's at do or die. Indy knows they can lose, and fine, but this is game 3. And I think Cleveland wants a split here. Cleveland can get it. I think Indy wants a split here. If Indy can get a split and go away 3-1, they'll be happy. The other game, Oklahoma City, Denver. Oklahoma City's laying 5.5, 232.5. Series is tied at 1. Denver won the first one with a big cutback. Oak City won by 50 points. Game 2, right? That was my lock. Now, what do we do here? The series is tied 1-1. Oak City had a 20-point lead and blew it, and then they came back and won by 50. I love Oak City in this one. They kind of have to win. They don't have to, but it's tied at 1. Is Denver any good? I think Oak City figured out how to handle whoever their center is, Mitch Kupchak or whatever for Denver. So I think they solved that problem, and I don't think Denver can answer it. I think Oak City's just, they're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. I think they win by 15 easy here. I just don't think Denver's that good, and I think OKC with 68 wins is damn good. And, okay, they lost the first game, which gave us our lock in game 2. This isn't a lock. If Denver wins, game 4 is a lock for OKC. But this game is a good game, but not a lock. But I do love Oklahoma City here to go. And then Denver probably then to tie it up. And then OKC to kill them in game 5. That's the best scenario is OKC wins. Then we bet Denver back, tie the series at 2, and then we mortgage the house on OKC in game 5. They'll win by 50 again. So I think theoretically it would be Denver's turn because Oak City won last game and now Denver wins back, but I don't buy that. I think OKC is going to be really strong here because they did lose the first game, and look for them to come on strong. So, Mr. Stone Cold, that is the bottom line on that. So I think OKC is the better bet versus here's a little Wilt Chamberlain for us.
I don't think they were trying to hit the left wrist, I can tell you that.
Gail Goodrich, he beats it to Chamberlain. Wilt playing with a very, very sore hand. It's been treated in every way possible the last 2 days. Over Hairston. And Chamberlain rebound. Behind Lucas' screen, now he's double teamed. Bradley on a running hook, misses. Chamberlain gets his...
Look how he just rips the rebound down.
Jerry West feeds to Chamberlain.
Look at Jerry West.
They go to Wilt with it. He's going to the basket. And he did it with a right hand, and it had to hurt because he has no medication. He took no painkiller. Back to live action as Chamberlain turns and goes to the basket.
He's got to give him some action.
Give it to Monroe. Chamberlain blocks it.
The last quarter, they're in pretty good shape.
McMillan has a shot out of the corner. Hit it. Chamberlain on a great pass. Jerry Lucas penetrates, gives to Jackson. Chamberlain blocks it. Hairston gives it to Chamberlain. Puts it up. Hit the iron. Chamberlain has it. Throws it in. Chamberlain again. That's 4 steals for Jimmy. Go to Chamberlain. He's under the bucket. 79-74 Los Angeles. 2.5 minutes to go, third quarter. Frazier's shot. Blocked by Chamberlain. Taken out of there by Hairston. Give it to West. Missed the shot. Goodrich the rebound. Missed the shot. Chamberlain missed.
I didn't know Jerry West missed the shot.
Ellis. Back to Chamberlain. Give it to Goodrich, who was wide open. Happy Hairston returning and Ellis leaving. Chamberlain puts it up and in. Puts it up over Lucas. Missed it. Chamberlain rebounds it. Gives to Hairston for the basket. Monroe. Put it up again. Chamberlain slaps it out. Puts it up and misses. DeBuscher blocked by Chamberlain. He missed it. Chamberlain has the rebound.
He's met every challenge. He's crossed every bridge. The Los Angeles Lakers are the world champions of basketball.
I didn't see any 3-point shots there. And look how many shots he made. It's easy to go 95% from 3 feet away. And look at the easy passes from Jerry West and the Gail Goodrich, Chamberlain with all these dunks and guys wide open. And you want to shoot 3-point shots. This is real basketball. I don't know what the shit is on now. Let's go shoot 3-point shots. How anybody in their right mind thinks that's the play. Why you got big guys like Chamberlain shooting from 3-point shots? If you told him to shoot from 3, he'd tell you to fuck off. That was real basketball. I don't know what this is now. See, when you see that and then you see this shit, you can't even watch it. Where's the big guys? Where's the guys under the basket? The 2 points count. It's not like, well, if it's not a 3-point shot, the dunk doesn't count. Prophet, I wonder how Wilt would have matched up against Shaq. He'd have killed him. Wilt would have killed Shaq. He would have blocked every shot Shaq took. Wilt is stronger than Shaq. So, yeah, I've heard that going around too, Wilton against Shaq, but that's it. Trump predicts something. Let's see what is.
You have all the money that you possibly need. You've accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life. And I also see it as somebody with strong views. and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile. And that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world. Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man, and he did not.
Why wouldn't someone like yourself run for political?
But says Trump predicted the future. How did he predict the future? So here, I was telling you about fast food, how fast food finally broke because they're getting too expensive. This is why I talk about markets all the time. You can't sell a $10 hamburger at McDonald's because I can go to Coney Island and get one for $7. And this is the problem, right? You're trying to sell a $10 hamburger, and people are now eating at home. So where I would go to McDonald's and it's fast and I can feed the kids, I'm now going to my grocery store, buying 3 pounds of hamburger and cooking up hamburgers and serving them 50% cheaper. And so this is the problem. And there's no market for $10 hamburgers at McDonald's. That doesn't even use real food. So this is your problem. You get away from your market. Your market was fast food cheap, right? $2 hamburger. It used to be, I watched some of these older Life in the 70s and in the 80s, and that's when I grew up, and it was like McDonald's 59 cents for a hamburger, fries 29 cents. So you'd go there and it was fine. The money had value. Now your money not only doesn't have value, but now it's $50 to eat a McDonald's for a family of 4, when it used to be like $10. $10 you could stomach, and it was fast food. Now it's still fast, but it's so expensive that nobody wants to go. And so they're all going out of business not because of the economy, because this is my point about inflation. Just because your costs go up does not mean prices go up, because you've got to listen to the market. So if McDonald's now has to charge $10 for a hamburger, ain't nobody going to pay it. You're not going to charge $10, or you better leave them at $5, because people will not pay it, and the market will not tolerate $10 at McDonald's. And therefore, McDonald's has to go out of business or cut their price and then lose money, right? So they got to sell it at $6, but it costs them more than $6. They can't make any money. They go out of business. So that's why they go out of business. The costs go up, but they can't pass the cost on to the consumer. They can't charge 10 for a burger. And that's the problem. Big giants leaving us. Toyota, they're going to Vietnam because, little fluke. Well, let's watch a few minutes of this.
But what happens when you target your allies as if they were enemies? The United States found out the hard way. It started as a simple trade move. President Trump slapped tariffs on foreign-made cars. But in a shocking twist, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, companies responsible for 1/3 of the vehicles on U.S. roads, suddenly found themselves in crisis. And the twist? These cars weren't built in China, as the narrative might suggest. No, they were built right here in North America, in places like Ontario, Baja, and Aguascalientes. For decades, Japanese automakers had strategically set up factories close to the U.S., creating American jobs and supporting the local economy. They weren't just manufacturers from another country. They were longtime partners of the U.S., deeply woven into its industrial fabric. And yet, in an instant, Washington decided to treat them like adversaries. The first to react was Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Yoshida, who attempted to negotiate with the U.S. government. However, it soon became clear that the goals of the two countries were no longer aligned. The gap between intent and reality was widening, and the trust built over decades was starting to fracture. Japan didn't retaliate with outrage, as many might expect. Instead, they moved quickly, silently, with precision. Japanese automakers began cutting back on U.S. production, pulling focus from American-made vehicles and redirecting resources elsewhere. This wasn't just a corporate misstep, it was a seismic shift. Trust, which had taken decades to build, was broken in one fell swoop. Japan didn't view this as an error, it was a warning shot. And now Japan is moving quickly to protect its interests. The only question that remains is, does the US understand the magnitude of what it has set in motion? Before we dig into the details, make sure you're subscribed. Thank you. Japanese automakers are not just brands in the US, they are essential to the American auto industry. As of 2024, about 1/3 of all cars on US roads come from Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. Toyota is number 1, Honda is number 3, and Nissan is number 6. But here's the catch. Most of these vehicles aren't imported. They are built right here in North America by American workers using American parts. In 2024, these 3 companies alone sold nearly 5.9 million vehicles in the US. That's a 6.3% increase from the year before. Their impact is undeniable. In 2023, Japanese automakers produced over 3.2 million vehicles inside the US. That's nearly 1/3 of all cars made in the country. And these aren't small operations tucked away in rural towns. These are major manufacturing facilities across 27 states, employing over 400,000 Americans, with 29 manufacturing plants, 34 research and development centers, and hundreds of distribution hubs. These companies are anchors of local economies. And it's not just the factory workers. Japanese automakers support over 2.29 million jobs across the country. From parts suppliers to dealerships to service providers, their economic footprint extends far beyond their own operations. This makes Japanese automakers some of the largest private sector contributors to the US economy, especially in regions where manufacturing plays a critical role. But these companies aren't stopping there. Toyota, for example, is building a $13.9 billion battery plant in Greensboro, North Carolina, which will employ over 5,000 people and help fuel the transition to cleaner transportation. Honda and Nissan are investing heavily in electric vehicle technology, forging partnerships and upgrading their manufacturing capabilities to meet the growing demand for sustainable electric vehicles. The future of the American auto industry is no longer just shaped in Detroit. It's being built in Tennessee, Ohio, Alabama, and beyond. These factories were not built as a result of trade loopholes. They were part of a deeply integrated system designed for mutual success. But with the stroke of a pen, Washington's tariffs threatened to unravel everything. To sell the decision at home, U.S. officials wrapped the tariffs in slogans of economic self-defense and bringing jobs back home. The narrative was catchy, sure, but it completely misunderstood the reality on the ground. These vehicles weren't cheap imports flooding the market. They were cars built by American workers for American consumers, with parts sourced from all over North America. Toyota's trucks were built in Baja California, Honda's sedans in Ontario, and Nissan's crossovers in Aguascalientes. These cars were the product of decades of cooperation under NAFTA and its successor, the USMCA. Washington's tariffs didn't target unfair trade. They targeted regional cooperation. Worse, they sent a message to America's allies. No amount of loyalty can protect you when politics take the wheel. Japan didn't lash out. It didn't publicly retaliate. Instead, it executed its strategy, quietly, efficiently, and with military precision. Within days of President Trump's tariff announcement, Japanese automakers were already adjusting their global strategies. Nissan, for example, quickly scaled back production of its best-selling US model, the Rogue. The problem? Many of those Rogues were made in Japan, which would now face the full brunt of the tariffs. In response, Nissan reduced output by 13,000.
So there you go. You're killing you. All Trump says is let's have manufacturing in the U.S. And how do we get the material to manufacture in the U.S. if you're fucking tariffing it? So they get all their stuff from Japan. There's tariffs on Japan. That makes all the Toyota, Nissan, and Honda more expensive, cost more expensive. They can't sell. They got to lay off people. And then, now they want to sell to the U.S. market. But so now what is Trump thinking? Japan will bring over steel and all the other material needed for the car. How long is that going to take? 10 years? You can't just open up a steel factory. So what is Trump doing? Oh, Trump wants to get paid for the steel. As I said, the trade is they get money, we get steel. That's the trade. You're trading money for steel. So what's the problem here? Why do you need to tariff them to charge them more to make the steel, and then they can't sell their cars in American plants, that you want plants for American. Your problem is Ford and GM deceived you and they put their plants in China. So Japan comes here to make their cars and American goes to China to make their cars. What are we missing here? So yeah, the costs go up and then they're fucked. These car companies are all fucked, and that's the problem. What are you doing, Trump? So by trying to pay for the debt, you fucked everything up. China's $18 trillion collapse.
Then there's the demographic time bomb. China's population is aging, and now China's economic miracle is unraveling, and the world is feeling the shock. For years, China looked unstoppable. It built cities from scratch. It became the world's factory, and it lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty. Some even said it would surpass the United States and define the 21st century. But now, that future looks far less certain. Growth is slowing. Debt is piling up. The property market is cracking. Factories are leaving, and the population is shrinking. So what happened, and why does it matter to the rest of us? To understand where China is now, we need to look at how fast it rose. Cities like Shenzhen went from fishing villages to global tech hubs in a single generation. Thanks to market reforms, globalization, and a massive pool of cheap labor, China became the workshop of the world. It was the fastest and largest economic transformation in history, but that model is breaking down. China still reports growth, 4.5% in early 2025 and 5% for 2024. But that's down sharply from the double-digit expansion it used to enjoy. And for an economy built on the assumption that growth would always be high, 5% feels like a warning sign. You can see the pressure building in manufacturing, the engine of China's rise. Wages have surged. In 2005, the average factory worker made $150 a month. Now it's over $1,200, more than 4 times what workers earn in Vietnam or India. At the same time, younger Chinese workers, better educated and more urban, are turning away from factory jobs, even with high youth unemployment.
So what does he just say? So now we're going to go to Vietnam and India to have them make our parts. Trump is tariffing China. Everything moves to Vietnam and India where we get cheap labor, but this idiot wants the tariff. So there goes the advantage of going to cheap labor. The problem with cheap labor, it's not skilled labor. It's just cheap. And they just said all the Chinese students who are getting advanced degrees now, engineering, accounting, IT, are not taking these line jobs at the factory. They can't replace them. So if you want to go to Vietnam or India, what are you going to get? You're not getting the smart people to do it. You're getting the dummies to do it. So again, cheap labor is cheap because they're not skilled. So unskilled labor is not your answer. So we will see. Anyway.
Companies are struggling to fill roles. COVID-19 was the first big shock. Lockdowns and shipping delays revealed how risky it was to rely too heavily on one country for manufacturing. Then came the real blow, tariffs. The United States-China trade war, launched under President Trump, hit Chinese exports with steep duties, some as high as 245%. Big companies started pulling out. Samsung shut down its last smartphone factory in China in 2019 during the initial wave of tariffs. Sony moved its camera production to Thailand. Apple now makes 20% of iPhones in India, up from just 1% 10 years ago. And the exodus didn't stop there. IBM slashed its research and development, or R&D, operations in China. LG sold its last LCD factory. HP announced that 90% of its North American supply chain will soon come from outside China. Even fast fashion giant Shein told suppliers to shift production to Vietnam to dodge new tariffs. United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned in 2024
that over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days that show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly.
This isn't a blip. It's a structural shift.
Yeah, he's happy about that. Why are you happy about that? Do you want to hurt China? Why? You want to tariff them. Okay, so everything goes to Vietnam and India. Are you going to tariff Vietnam and India? Or you just want to hurt China for some reason? Okay, so you're scared of China, but you're missing the whole point. They got 60,000 tons of gold. And there go 60,000 tons of gold. They don't need your little dollars. And this is the problem. So basically, China's been making stuff for the U.S. because Ford and all these companies they just showed you were moving their they're moving their plants to China. Well, it's not China's fault that they had cheaper labor in China, and GM and Ford said, we can take advantage of it. We'll get engineers for 10,000. No, you're getting guys in the rice fields, the rice paddies for $5 a day, not engineers. So Ford and GM moved there, and that's why they're producing, and Apple and Nike and all these companies because of the cheap labor. That was it, and the fair government, right, was pro working, pro capitalism, even though they're communist. They're communist when it comes to controlling people, but in the business world, they were capitalists. You can have that. And so now what are we doing? Oh, wait, China, you tariff, you're tariffing us. I don't know, is China tariffing? What are we selling that they're tariffing? We're making them a lot of money because they're putting their people to work. And there's a lot of companies that went there that aren't Chinese companies. So China didn't really develop anything. It's just GM, Ford, Apple, and these companies moving there. So they didn't invent anything, China. So they moved there, and now you're mad at them because of what? That GM and Ford moved there? But it benefited the consumer. We could get things cheaper because the labor in China was cheaper, and GM and Ford are not even building anything here. Very few plants in America because it's too expensive, because they look at it and they go, now labor is $60 an hour because we got unions. It's $10 a day in China. We'll go to China. That's exactly what they did. And now it's coming home to roost. We do not want trade does not need to be balanced. And the problem is, before we couldn't sell to China anyway because they didn't have anybody who had money. So realize they were a bunch of farmers, right, with the rice paddies. So therefore they couldn't afford a car. So even though you had 1 billion people, you had maybe 100,000 consumers for your products. So how are you going to get fair trade there? You're going to get even trade. How? Nobody could afford it. Now you've put the jobs there. Now they can afford it, but they're making everything cheaper than we can make it. What part of this are these idiots not understanding? I mean, who's in charge of this dump country? Unbelievable. So now you're tariffing them. You're causing massive unemployment in China, but they got 60,000 tons of gold. They'll be fine. And all these companies are now leaving. They're going to Vietnam. They're going to India until you tariff them. What are you going to do? Tariff everybody and kill trade so they can make plant? Well, you've got Toyota and Honda with plants in the U.S., but they can't get their material because it's made in Japan. So you want everything made in the U.S., and you want, again, you want competition. You do not want a monopoly on this. What's Putin up to? We'll do a little bit more of
Global
this.
supply chains, and it's slowing China's economy. Some analysts now warn that China's future gross domestic product, or GDP growth, may struggle to stay above 4%. But if slowing growth is the red flag, debt is the real danger. China's central government debt doesn't look that bad, around 25 to 30% of GDP. But the real story lies elsewhere. Local governments, banned from officially running deficits, got creative. They set up local government financing vehicles, or LGFVs, which borrowed trillions through loans and bonds, often with unofficial backing from local officials. Now those debts are coming due, just as the revenues that supported them, especially land sales, are drying up. Goldman Sachs estimates total local government debt could exceed $23 trillion, possibly more than 150% of China's GDP. That's triggered service cuts, stalled infrastructure projects, and delayed payments all over the country. And that.
So again, the debt wins. And oh yeah, we got 37 trillion in debt. How are we going to survive? There's only one lifeboat out there, as I tell you and tell you and tell you and tell you, and it's gold and silver. This is the only way out of debt, because the money that everybody's holding has no value. This is not worth anything, right? Like I said, you go to the grocery store, I think I paid $30. I got, a broccoli and a cauliflower and a little bit of pita bread and stuff. It's not good. This is why you must switch to dollars. This is the problem. They're all canes. Why is there a central bank in every country? There should never be a central bank. They cause the inflation. They cause the economy to fail. It's the central bank printing the money. You can't just print it. I told you in gold and money, you must keep it limited. Overabundance creates a lack of value. What is every country doing? The same thing. This is why I'm so high in gold and silver, because every country's doing it. When every country realizes the boat's sinking, they're going to have a big long line trying to buy gold and silver. And by the time they try to buy the gold, it won't be available. And the silver, they're trying to keep it down, but it's not going to last, and it's going to go. And, this is insanity. Now, I don't know how long they can hold silver where they are. It's not, like I said, market. It's not somebody selling an ounce of silver and somebody buying it. It's not using the market. It's using these derivatives. So they're doing it with options to get the price, not with the market. Very, very dangerous, to the fact nobody really knows the price of silver. If you were to tell me the price is $32, I'm going to laugh at you and go, you're not close. My guess is the real price of silver now is probably $500 an ounce. The real price of gold is at least $10,000. If you try to measure inflation as a percent, which you can't do, but if we tried to, it'd be somewhere about 10,000%. Because I got to go back to 1971 and measure inflation. I cannot measure inflation 2024 versus 2025 and go, this is a Coke costs $3 and now it's actually $3.50. So now that's 20% inflation in a year, but that's not really where you measure it. You measure it from the year you took it off the gold standard, when Coke was a dime, and now Coke is, $3.60 a bottle. It's $3 for the can. But you do a dime times 20 cents is 100% return. 30 is 200%. So you got to keep going. How many dimes are there to get to $3? Right? It's like 3,000. So that'd be a 3,000% inflation. But you can't measure with prices because of competition, because of people not wanting to drink sugar. So they switch to water. And there's all these things that have changed that make it. A car is probably the closest, where it was $2,500 for a car in the late 60s is now 50,000. 2,500. How many 2,500s to get to 50,000? And that's your inflation rate. It's way up there. It ain't 2%. So don't get caught into the lies that they're trying to tell you it's 2%. It isn't. All right. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is women are evil. And I was discussing this yesterday, and we'll watch it. That's part of it. And the point is, girls will talk to their girlfriends and they'll tell them everything. Yeah, I slept with him, and he took me to dinner, and we went to this movie, and we're doing this and we're doing that. He bought me a ring. He bought me shoes. We went swimming. A girl will talk to a girl like that, but she won't talk to you like that. And this is the difference between men and women. You've got to become the girlfriend, not physically, but emotional. In other words, Jenna has Natasha. I have to be Natasha. I have to be the one she talks to about. And she has to feel comfortable with me. She has to feel free with me. This is what I like to do. And, sexually and food wise and clothing wise, she has to be just free to tell me everything. And you have to be free to tell them. That's how the relationship works when it's successful. Most relationships aren't successful because you never get to that point. The guy never becomes the best girlfriend from a mental standpoint, not a physical one. So she's got to be able to tell you all that, and she never will. She's too afraid to. She's afraid to expose herself. She'll tell her girlfriend because her girlfriend understands it, because the girlfriend goes through it, right? So she'll tell Natasha because Natasha's boyfriend, and Natasha tells Jenna what's going on with her boyfriend. And that's what they do. So they keep they'll tell each other, what's going on, which is probably why it's like, did Howard get you a ring yet? That was a discussion between Natasha and Jenna, not with me. She would ask me, did you get me a ring? But she would never talk to me about the ring. And I'm like, why am I getting you a ring? Again, I didn't know anything about it. But that's where the problem is. It's like Alyssa, just not, I'm trying to get back with my guy and I can't talk to you right now. Well, I'm sure she had a conversation with her girlfriend or somebody, probably her shrink, about this, but not with me. She didn't have the conversation with me. And that's exactly why are you going? Then, what is the fact I drive you all around and take you to lunch and dinner not enough for you? I mean, what's the problem here? And she's afraid to discuss it with me. And that's the problem, right? That's exactly the problem in a nutshell. She's afraid to discuss it with me. She doesn't want to hurt me. She doesn't want to make me upset. Like she'd always, are you mad? And I go, I'm stoic. I don't get mad. I understand the situation and I understand I can only control myself. I can't control you. So I'm not going to, why would I get mad at you? I don't want to get mad at you. But she doesn't understand that. So that's really where the problem is. You have to be the one she talks to, but you're not, right? Because you're the boyfriend. And therefore, she will not talk to you about this. She talks to her girlfriends or her shrink or whoever. And this is the problem. And to have a successful marriage and relationship, she's got to be what's called safe with you in the fact that she can tell you these things. Instead of going to her girlfriend, she can tell you, and she can she can open up herself and tell you everything. And when she gets to that point, then the relationship works. But guys don't understand that. Guys think, well, I make a lot of money or I'm in good shape. They're attracted to me. No, that's what we're attracted to. We're attracted to a nice looking girl. Not necessarily with money, doesn't matter, but that she's attractive. That's our biggest thing, right? She's attractive. Yeah, okay. But then she's not nice. So then we go, it's not worth it. Again, there's competition, but you've got to be able to tell the girl what you tell your buddies, and she's got to be able to tell you what she tells her girlfriends. When you get to that, you win. The game's over, you win. Well, you both win. You both have a better life because there's no boundaries, and you both feel safe being yourself. But how many relationships are we in that we're not telling the girl everything? Now, I was pretty good with Alyssa. I did tell her about Daria, and I told her about Jenna. So I was very stoic. I was like, I held back nothing. She obviously did. she loses in the end, right? Because I don't need her because I was open to her. She needs me because who else is going to drive her around? Anyway, that's really the point. So you want to be the Natasha, the girlfriend who they talk to about you, and when you're free, then she realizes she can come to you and be open and honest. And Daria says it the best. She says, I'm with you, which means I'm serious with you. And then she says, I'm safe with you, which doesn't mean from a protection. It means I can tell you I smoke cigarettes and you're fine with it, right? I can tell you I need money for school and you're fine with it. That's what they need, is that safety where they can tell you this and you don't blow up at them. You don't fight over it. You just go, yes, you're right. This is, Irina told me my girlfriend, she was my friend from Romania. She was the married one, and we were very close friends. And she'd get into a car accident, and she said, "Oh, I can't tell my husband; he'll yell at me." And so it was like $100. So okay, then her father dies, and I said, "Well, what do you come to me for? Why don't you go to your husband?" "Oh, he won't pay for the funeral." What kind of guy do you have that your father dies, who you're very close to, and he won't pay for the funeral? And so I ended up paying for the funeral, but it was based on it was based on me helping her because she was afraid to tell him. Well, what kind of marriage is that? That's the problem. So she had to come to me. So I was kind of like her, Natasha, where she could tell me stuff. I'm sure she had her own girlfriends, but when it became like financial, these girls aren't taking advantage of me. They're asking me, and they know as a friend, they need their Natasha. And so in certain aspects, financially, I'm the Natasha. Daria, I need money. I need help here or there. We're running out of food. I'm not going to let her starve. So, I'll give her some money for food. And then she shows me the food. She just bought some food and flowers. I gave her money. I said, go enjoy and enjoy your life. It's got to be tough enough in Russia anyway. So, I hardly think she's playing me for that. All right. A quick Egon, and then we'll get into the brutal truth of women being evil. They're not really evil.
It's not just a speculative move into gold now. It's a re-rating of the whole of the credit system. There's nothing else of value now that gives security. And that's what people are discovering and why people are scared. Sure, retail buyers are buying stocks now again on the dip, but they're going to get slaughtered. We are not going to see stock markets recovering here. We're in a long-term downtrend that's going to take stocks in relation to gold, go down by 90 to 99%. I mean, I've been saying this for years, and it's now starting to happen.
Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, delved deep into the human psyche, uncovering uncomfortable truths.
He's like
about
a
both
Swiss
men and women.
psychiatrist.
But among his most controversial insights were those about the feminine psyche, truths that many men today still struggle to confront. Jung wasn't attacking women. He was exposing the unconscious dynamics that shape male-female relationships. In this video, we explore Jung's most unsettling revelations about the female shadow, the anima, and the illusion many men fall for. Prepare yourself, because what Jung said might just change the way you view modern relationships. Carl Jung's concept of the anima is one of his most powerful yet misunderstood ideas, especially when it comes to how men perceive women. The anima is not a woman in the external world. It's the unconscious feminine image within every man's psyche. It is formed through early experiences with the mother, female figures, cultural archetypes, and emotional encounters with women throughout life. The anima becomes the blueprint for how a man relates to the feminine, how he sees women, how he loves them, and how he reacts to them. The problem is, most men are unaware that this anima even exists. They don't know that what they desire, fear, or expect from women is often shaped not by real interaction, but by a deep psychological projection. When a man encounters a woman who resembles his anima image, he doesn't fall in love with her. He falls in love with what she represents in his unconscious. He sees her as beautiful, mysterious, nurturing, seductive, or even divine. But these traits are not necessarily part of her personality. They are pieces of his own soul, projected onto her like a movie screen. This is why Jung said that falling in love is often more about projection than connection. The man projects his anima onto a woman and believes he has found the one. But what he has really found is a mirror of his own unconscious. In the early stages of love, everything feels magical. The woman appears perfect. She completes him. But as time passes, reality sets in. She begins to behave in ways that contradict his fantasy. She has flaws, opinions, desires, and wounds of her own. The illusion shatters. When the projection collapses, the man is left with confusion, disappointment, even rage. He feels betrayed, not because the woman deceived him, but because he deceived himself. He didn't truly see her. He only saw his anima. Jung warned that this psychological trap leads many men into emotional chaos. They bounce from woman to woman, always chasing the perfect anima figure, and never understanding why their relationships never last. Others become disillusioned with love altogether, assuming all women are fake, or not like they used to be. But the truth lies not outside. They lie deep within the man himself. And here is where Jung's insight becomes even more brutal. Most men don't love women. They worship them. This is not love rooted in reality. It is idolatry, a form of psychological possession. Men turn women into symbols, symbols of hope, salvation, healing, or escape. They believe that if they can find the right woman, their pain will end. Their lives will be meaningful. Their inner void will be filled. But this is a dangerous illusion. When a man puts a woman on a pedestal, he doesn't see her as a person. He sees her as an ideal. She becomes the goddess, the mother, the muse. She must always be beautiful, understanding, nurturing, and supportive. She is not allowed to be angry, tired, flawed, or human. The moment she fails to live up to this impossible standard, the man feels betrayed. The same woman he once adored becomes the villain in his story. The worship turns to resentment, and sometimes even hatred. Jung called this the tyranny of the anima, because when a man is ruled by his anima, he is not in control of himself. He is enslaved by unconscious forces that twist his perception. He seeks a woman not to love her, but to fulfill his inner lack. And no woman can ever do that, because it is not her responsibility. The anima is his own inner work. This is why Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, is essential. A man must confront the anima, speak with her, understand her, and integrate her into his conscious life. He must stop projecting and start seeing. Only when he has developed a relationship with his inner feminine can he truly love a woman in the outer world, without illusion, without idolatry, without neediness or domination. Until then, he is not loving her. He is using her as a screen to reflect his own unconscious soul. And that, Jung warned, is not love. It is psychological possession. Carl Jung did not shy away from the uncomfortable truth that both men and women possess a shadow, a darker, repressed side of the psyche, made up of everything we deny about ourselves. While much psychological and spiritual literature focuses on the male shadow, aggression, pride, domination, Jung was equally adamant that the feminine has a shadow too. But unlike the overt, explosive tendencies of the male shadow, the shadow of the feminine is more covert, subtle, and psychological. And this is precisely what makes it so dangerous. The modern world is heavily shaped by the idealization of the feminine, Society often paints women as inherently nurturing, peaceful, emotionally intelligent, and morally superior. From media to religious symbolism, the feminine is associated with love, compassion, and healing. But this is only one side of the archetype. Jung warned that this idealized image is just as much a projection as the anima in a man's psyche. By worshipping the light side of the feminine, we blind ourselves to her darker impulses. The shadow feminine is manipulative, emotionally controlling, possessive, passive-aggressive, and even cruel, though not always in obvious ways. She doesn't dominate with physical force, but through the subtle weaponization of emotion, guilt, seduction, or victimhood. She doesn't scream, she withholds. She doesn't confront, she controls from behind the scenes. Jung noted that the shadow feminine can manifest as a destructive force, not just in individuals, but in entire cultures, through psychological games, toxic mothering, or ideological manipulation, masquerading as care. One of the most unsettling expressions of the feminine shadow is what Jung called the devouring mother archetype. This is the woman who appears loving and self-sacrificing on the surface, but who unconsciously smothers and consumes others, especially her children or partner, to maintain a sense of control. She overprotects, not out of genuine care, but because she fears losing relevance or power. She offers love with strings attached. She demands loyalty, not out of trust, but out of emotional dependency. And the terrifying part? She may not even be aware she's doing it. For men who have not integrated their own anima or resolved their relationship to the maternal figure, they become especially vulnerable to the pull of the feminine shadow. They may become entangled with women who unconsciously mirror the traits of the devouring mother. Women who offer warmth but drain the man's independence, who nurture but belittle, who love but emotionally manipulate. The man feels trapped, confused by the contrast between what he sees and what he feels. He cannot criticize her behavior without being labeled ungrateful, unmanly, or abusive. And so he stays silent or breaks away in bitterness, often blaming all women rather than confronting the psychological pattern at play. Jung emphasized that the feminine shadow is not evil in the moral sense. It is unconscious. It arises from woundedness, from unmet needs, from generational trauma, from societal conditioning. Just as men are conditioned to suppress emotion and vulnerability, women are often conditioned to suppress anger, ambition, and sexual agency. These suppressed traits don't disappear. They go underground, where they grow twisted and dangerous. A woman disconnected from her own shadow becomes a vessel for unconscious chaos. She may sabotage relationships, attack other women, manipulate those around her, all while believing she is simply being kind, concerned, or misunderstood. And here lies Jung's brutal truth. Many men are not prepared to deal with the reality of the feminine shadow. They are enchanted by the dream of the nurturing goddess, the divine feminine, the soulmate who will heal their wounds. But when confronted by the manipulative, angry, or emotionally unstable aspects of real women, they recoil. They either demonize all women or fall deeper into toxic entanglements, hoping to fix the woman or endure her until she becomes the fantasy again. What Jung wanted was for men and women to recognize the fullness of the feminine psyche, to see that women, like men, are complex, contradictory, and layered. They possess both light and darkness, both compassion and rage, both power and vulnerability. Until men can see women as whole, they will continue to fall into one of two traps: worshipping them as angels or fearing them as monsters. Both are projections, both are distortions. The feminine shadow is not something to be feared, but understood. And Jung believed that facing it truly facing it, is one of the hardest and most liberating tasks a man can undertake. Because only then can he relate to women as equals, not saviors, not enemies, not puzzles to be solved, but as fellow human beings wrestling with the same inner chaos. To deny the existence of the dark feminine is to live in a fantasy. And no relationship, no society, no man can mature until that illusion is broken. Carl Jung believed that one of the greatest psychological traps a man can fall into is the unconscious influence of the mother complex. This complex is formed during childhood, shaped by a boy's early relationship with his mother. And unless it is consciously addressed in adulthood, it continues to influence how he views women, love, authority, and even his own self-worth. The mother complex doesn't mean a man literally still depends on his mother in a physical sense. It means he remains emotionally and psychically entangled in the role she played in his inner world: nurturer, protector, critic, controller. That imprint, whether loving or wounding, becomes the lens through which he sees the feminine for the rest of his life. The tragedy of the mother complex is that it arrests the man's emotional development. He may be 30, 40, or even 60 years old, but still relate to women as a child relates to a mother. This can manifest in several ways. He may become overly dependent on a romantic partner to take care of him emotionally, expecting her to soothe his anxieties, regulate his moods, and carry the emotional weight of the relationship. He doesn't want a partner. He wants a caregiver. And when she fails to mother him as he secretly wishes, he grows resentful, passive-aggressive, or emotionally distant. There are also men who go the opposite route. Their mother complex may be rooted in a controlling, smothering, or critical mother, so they grow up with a deep need to assert their independence. But instead of genuine emotional maturity, they adopt hypermasculine personas. They fear intimacy, mock vulnerability, and seek dominance in relationships to avoid feeling weak. On the surface, they appear strong, but underneath, they are terrified of being emotionally engulfed, controlled, or judged by a woman, just as they once felt with their mothers. Jung identified that these unresolved complexes lead to a life of repetition. A man unknowingly chooses partners who mirror his mother, either to relive the original trauma or to try to fix the past. He becomes stuck in a psychological loop, replaying the same emotional drama over and over again, but never gaining freedom. This is why so many relationships become battlegrounds for unconscious wounds. It's not about the person in front of him. It's about the unresolved energy within him. The path out of this cycle is individuation, a central concept in Jung's work. Individuation means becoming a whole, integrated person by confronting and integrating the unconscious parts of the self. For a man, this includes facing his anima, his inner feminine, his shadow, the dark, denied aspects of his personality, and most crucially, his relationship to the feminine. He must look at how his early experiences shaped his desires, his fears, his insecurities, and his expectations of women. This is not a simple intellectual exercise. It is a painful, often humiliating process. It requires a man to stop blaming women for his suffering and instead turn inward. Why does he feel abandoned when she pulls away emotionally? Why does he feel enraged when she challenges him? Why does he lose himself completely in relationships or become cold and distant? These questions lead him not to answers about women, but to answers about himself. Jung insisted that until a man does this inner work, he is not truly choosing his partners. His complexes are choosing them for him. And here lies the final, liberating truth. Only through individuation can a man truly love a woman as she is, not as a mother, not as a fantasy, not as a savior, not as a threat, but as a human being. When he integrates his anima, He no longer needs to project his idealized feminine image onto someone else. He becomes capable of emotional intimacy without being swallowed. He can offer love without needing to be rescued or to dominate. He can receive love without guilt, shame, or fear. In other words, he becomes whole, and therefore capable of genuine relationship. This maturity is rare because it requires an ongoing confrontation with the unconscious. It is much easier to live in projection, to blame women, to idolize them, or demonize them. But as Jung often said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most men believe their problems with women are caused by women themselves. But the reality, Jung insisted, is far more personal and far more painful. What most men call love is often a mirror of their inner fragmentation. They seek in women what they have not yet found in themselves. They chase beauty to feel whole. They crave nurturing to feel safe. They desire submission to feel strong. But none of this can last because it is built on need, not truth. And so the cycle continues. Infatuation, disappointment, conflict, heartbreak. Jung's brutal message to men was this: do your inner work. Stop looking for women to heal you, to complete you, to save you from your own emptiness. Stop projecting the anima outward and begin building a conscious relationship with her within. Until you do, every relationship will be haunted by your own shadow. Every woman you love will be to carry the weight of your unconscious. And no matter how beautiful or perfect she seems, she will never satisfy what only you can give yourself. Only when the inner feminine is honored and integrated can the outer feminine be loved in her full reality. Then, and only then, does love become real, not a rescue mission.
Well, that's pretty heavy. I caught about half of it, but you can tell that's what kind of happens is you put them on a pedestal, or it's really yourself that's the problem. And I think I'm getting past that. I'm getting complete. The Stoic helps. So like when Alyssa says I can't talk to you for a while, I'm fine with it. I just said it's your loss, not mine. But I never put her up on a pedestal. And Daria, I don't put up on a pedestal, nor Jenna. I didn't either. I was attracted to them, but I didn't use them as means of something that happened with my mother or anything. My mother was not very good. So that's kind of what it is. I got a spider down here. So yeah, it's pretty heavy, and it's obviously but this is the name of this video, and this is a psychologist from Carl Jung, and philosophy views mission is the title. So pretty heavy, but there's probably a lot of truth to it. But I don't know that how we can understand it. That's a stretch for me to kind of help you. But I think if you understand what you're doing a little bit, it helps. But that's where I'm saying you've got to be her girlfriend from a personality, from somebody she talks to, and she's got to be yours. And then you understand each other better. So if Jenna talks to me like she talked to Natasha, and I talk to Jenna like I talk to you guys, then it probably works a lot better. And I can't make her, this mother complex, whatever that is. I didn't like my mother, so I don't know, but I like girls, so I don't know the connection there, but maybe I'm over that. So yeah, it's a toughie, but I think it helps when going into it. You just want to know them as them. Don't put them on a pedestal. And if there's that feeling, then if you want to spend time with them, spend time with them. But you can't be scared to tell them who you are. Like, first thing I tell girls is I bet on football and I do this class. I like watching, movies, and I go swimming and I play golf, and you tell them about yourself, and then they can either say, "Oh, I don't like you," or they can say, "I do like you." If they're not into sports, then go read a book or something. I don't know, but I'm going to watch football. So you've got to be yourself with them. You've got to tell them about yourself, and they got to tell you about you. You can't have these secrets, and I think that's definitely a problem for sure. And the control issue, where they try to control you, you try to control them. That's also very, very difficult. Anyway, let's check our gold. Baseball tonight. Philadelphia over 8, 2 units. Miami over 8.5, 2 units. Houston 3 units. San Diego 2 units. Those are my bets. The regular plays: Atlanta, Detroit under 7.5, Washington over 8.5, Milwaukee, the Mets over 7.5, Boston over 9, 49ers over 9, Cal, the Dodgers over 10, Seattle over 7, and Oakland over 10.5. The NBA, there's one game. I don't remember what it was. I think it's OKC. We like OKC over Denver. They're tied at 1. They won by 50 last game, and I think they just might go 4-1. Let's look at. We got Cleveland, Indiana. So I got OKC laying the 5.5. Cleveland, Indiana is an interesting one. I don't know the injuries, if they're out or they're playing. I say if they're playing, to take Cleveland. Cleveland has to win. They're down 2-0. Their backs are against the wall. They, I guess, had a 20-point lead last time, and Indiana came back to win by 1. And that's what's happening in the Boston, New York series. So my play here would be Cleveland, very small, just because they're down 2-0. And if they're at Indiana and they go down 3-0, they're done. So I look at that. Let's check our stack. Our Goldie Boldy is 241. Gold is at 33.37. So we're doing fine. I expect it's open till 5, that it ends right in this area. You can see the area for the last couple hours. It's been 237 to 244. Maybe we got to jump up, but I think this is 33.30. Silver's at 32.79. Let's check Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 103,281, a total Ponzi scheme. That is not real. I don't know why I check, because I don't really care. And let's check the Dow. And the Dow's down 101, which, again, this is fantasy world. So again, show me what a Bitcoin is. You can't. It's not even a coin. It's digital. It's not backed by anything, and anything not backed by anything is worthless. So look for gold and silver July 1st. They'll definitely jump. Silver's being held down by the 8 billion banks before they go broke. We understand that. We go buy, because it will eventually break and then it's gone. And forget the supply demand. It's got nothing to do with it. Again, gold and silver and the orange juice and the coffee are not priced at the market, where somebody goes to buy eggs, they give them money, they get the egg. That's how they price it. That's not what happens with gold and silver and a lot of this comex crap. It's all bullshit. It's all fake. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because no physical gold, let's take gold and silver. There's no physical gold or silver that's being sold. You are selling a contract, an option, and somebody's buying it. And it's usually algorithms or something. I mean, it's not real. Nobody's taking an ounce of gold and selling it and somebody buying it. The market is totally out of COMEX, so it's totally a Ponzi scheme. There's no real physical gold being traded. It's just derivatives. It's just options. So therefore, we just laugh at it, going, "This is not the real price. The real price is way up here, not down here." We understand that. We don't get upset. We're at 3,300 in gold, and we'll get all the way up to 10 grand. It's going to get there. It's going to go through these gyrations, but July 1st makes it Basel 3, and then they'll have to deliver, and especially silver. So silver will get to at least 750 to 1,000 an ounce probably soon. I can't give you a date because it's so manipulated that it's hard to know the date when it collapses, but it can't keep going on. The Russia, China, and Dubai exchanges are physical. You want to trade gold there, you give them the bar, and then somebody buys it. That's how that will work, and it will not be fantasy land where it's all options that are being traded, not real physical. So they're just selling paper gold. That's like selling paper milk and paper orange juice or paper toilet paper and paper cereal and paper chocolate. No. It's physical. And they're not doing physical, and it's such bullshit. These guys should all be in jail because this is supposed to be a market here. This is a marketplace. This isn't, we'll just sell paper there. Oh, no, sorry. And anyway, and the tariffs, again, is the same I'm saying. The thing with the tariff is you are trading money for goods. There's no way you can have balanced trade in goods to goods because our price, our labor is so much higher than China that you can't. And who are you selling it to? There's nobody who has money in China that's going to buy whatever you're selling. And by the way, we don't make anything, so I don't know what we're selling them. They have Facebook there, I think. There's some things banned in China. I think Bitcoin's banned there. So you got to keep that in mind. It's the balanced trade is they're selling us computers and we're giving them money, and it's balanced. So there is no trade deficit. That's stupidity talking. Just like inflation is 3%, it's not measured. You cannot measure inflation by prices. And if you were trying to, it certainly wouldn't be year over year. It would go 1971 till today, and you would see 10, 20, 30,000% inflation. So whoever had the bright idea of going year over year is just Madoff. It's a Madoff. Anything else, students? Comments, critiques, please feel free. Buy your gold, especially buy your silver at these prices. It's a joke. Now, it's not moving until July 1st, so don't get disappointed that it's sitting at 32. We know it won't because it'll bankrupt. The 8 billion banks will go under when silver hits 36, so they're not going to let it. They're going to keep coming up with fake money and derivatives. Because if it hits 36, they're all bankrupt. So that's what you're going to do. But we understand that. So we're not expecting, we know silver's worth $500-600 an ounce right now. But on COMEX, it's 32. The question is, why are we using COMEX to price gold and silver when it's clearly not a free market? So I use the eggs because that happened to me at the grocery store the other day, where if you're complaining about the high price of eggs, don't buy them, and then the price of eggs will come down. That's the simplest formula for it. Price of eggs, they set it, but if nobody buys, it has to come down because that's a free market. That's a real market. You're actually paying them to get the eggs, unlike gold and silver. So you cannot do any type of short squeeze in silver and expect the price to go up because it's not priced in physical. It's priced by these options. So until we blow up COMEX, which hopefully happens soon, there won't be any big. Look at golds already. That's a lot of because of Basel 3 in Europe. but that does make them have to cover. But if they're playing a pretty stupid game, oh, you take delivery. Yeah, but that means I'd have to actually give you the gold. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm America. And that's where China and Russia are saying, fuck you, you're paying. I want the physical. And that's what will end COMEX. And that's when you'll see real prices go on the physical exchanges in Russia, China, and in Dubai. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Friday. Good luck on baseball or basketball. Gold ends at 5:15 today, and there's no night because it closes till Monday or Sunday night. Anything else? All right. Well, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. If you want to get a hold of me, just through my email, will be there. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day and enjoy your Friday.